Hey.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, did you kick Jen out?
Sorry.
He did. He hates me.
I tried to unmute Jen and the mouse slipped.
I unmuted myself.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, hello and welcome to Media Musings, where we're going to talk about the concept of canon. Seems like it'd be a good primer for Star Wars month, but the first Saturday of May is Free Comic Book Day, so we're bumping it back a week because we're going to do comic books next week.
cool.
Comic books.
And,
awesome.
Yeah. Hello, Scummer, Robert, Atheist Pastor.
All the usual suspects.
All the usual suspects. And of course,
and and anyone who might be watching in the future.
Yeah. And lurkers. Because we know
Yeah.
you're there.
Aww. Chris is sad because Free Comic Book Day is cancelled.
Really?
Aww. You're up very late, Chris.
I'm not a comic book person and I'm tiny.
It's like midnight for you, Chris. Why are you up so late?
Chris, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's alright, I get it.
Cool. So, kind of.
Yeah.
So,
So
yes.
I will probably have to message Chris and see if maybe bump it back a bit earlier so he can be on the comic book one.
Cool.
You should ask Ansgar as well.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
if you've got no life, Chris, hop in and join us and talk canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're awake enough. Although
Yeah,
I
if
do
you're
have to admit, I've been asked a few times what my conception of canon is, and I now have a stock answer. So
Yeah.
It's a big gun that you fire things at people with.
my canon is that the canon is the thing that destroys all my ships.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I like the play on words.
Yeah. So yeah, it destroys all my ships. It's okay though.
Yeah.
AO3 coming to rescue.
Shifty eyes.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not a fan fiction writer. That's why I'm here.
But and
Who hasn't at least written fan fiction in their head?
yeah.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Personal fantasy land.
Come with
PFL.
me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Wow,
Paul,
sometimes
sweet
it's all
summer
you've
child.
Yeah, welcome to Media Musings, where we ruin all of your childhood memories.
Hey, it's not in 5 minutes or less. We're talking fun.
Oh, we didn't even make 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure it was my fault. But I'll take the blame. I usually do.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jen.
Yeah, and well, Math Pig's not here, so we can't blame Math Pig.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so
because cripes, my brain.
Get it together.
Yeah.
damn it,
You know,
husband.
the concept of what is canonical is kind of a very interesting sort of topic.
I'm going to end up quoting Baths again, aren't I?
You know we're going to end up talking Harry Potter, don't you?
Of
Yes,
course we are. I'm here.
and we are
And I
going to
think
end
we
up.
would have anyway, and Star Wars.
Yeah, we're going to end up talking about Harry Potter, and we're going to end up talking about Star Wars, because those two franchises in particular have a very interesting relationship with canon.
Yeah, another show that does that too is Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yes, but at least with Doctor Who, it's willing to retcon itself. Unlike Harry Potter,
Oh,
where the
yeah.
author doubles down on all the nonsense that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, and Doctor Who's willing to say that, oh, you can still treat all the books as canon. It's just that some things in history can change. So they did happen, but now they didn't happen. And
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine within the universe of Doctor Who. You can have it both
Wibbly
being
wobbly
canon.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
perfectly fine
Wibbly
within
wobbly
the
timey
concept
wimey
of
stuff.
Yeah,
Scummer,
So-
you missed the fact that I only spelled it with one N.
which is why I want them to completely retcon the last 2 episodes of the last season of Doctor Who.
Go, husband, I haven't seen them.
Neither have I.
Oh, okay, well, I'll shut up then. No spoilers for you guys.
But
To be fair, I haven't watched Who since Tenant.
Really? I haven't missed any episodes, but I would have
No.
quite happily missed the last 2. Not
Sorry, I
because
have
of
to clarify. It's not that I haven't watched Who since Tenant. It's that I haven't watched Who since Moffat took over.
well, Moffat's
I
not in
have to
charge now.
clarify. Oh, I
Yeah.
can come back to it then.
Except
Because
for the
if I
last
wanted
2
to
episodes.
watch a horror film every week, I would sit and watch a horror film. So what Doctor
I'm
Who's
sorry,
for.
if you watch the last 2 episodes of last season, you will hate the current showrunner more than you hate Moffat.
Try me.
Do you want me to tell you what he's done?
I've only seen up to the 2nd season of Smith, and that's because it stopped being streamable.
Yeah. I can tell you what he's done, and then you can know whether you want to watch it.
Go for it.
Chibnall has retconned the Doctor, so the Doctor is no longer a Time Lord.
Wait, what?
Yep.
The Doctor isn't so the entire premise of the show has been set on fire.
Oh, no. The Doctor was brought up to believe they were a Time Lord.
So
But
what
the
is the
Doctor is
Doctor?
actually... The Doctor was another alien that the early Gallifreyans discovered and found out could regenerate, and they copied their genetic code to so that they could regenerate. The regeneration limit isn't applicable to the Doctor because her species does not have a regeneration limit, and we have no idea how many regenerations she had before because the Time Lords were fucking with her memory.
I mean, on the other hand, that gives them the space to run the show. So I can see
Right,
why
and
you would do
they
that.
can bring in new aspects. The problem I have with it isn't that. In the process of doing that, they had the Master get pissed off about it because he found out, and then kill every Time Lord.
So the Master is actually a good guy now.
Oh no, the Master's gone absolutely, completely and utterly, completely psychotic. After kind of coming back from being that, no, completely psychotic. He killed his own race. He absolutely destroyed the entire Time Lord with the aim to eventually kill the Doctor because he's pissed off that the Doctor's better than him. Because
Okay,
she's not a Time Lord.
Right action, wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I'm sorry, this race has been screwing with some poor kid for centuries.
Oh, they probably
welcome,
deserve it. Yeah,
welcome
I kind
to
of
the
get that. So
immunity.
now we actually don't know the background of the Doctor anymore at all. Nothing. The
Welcome
Doctor
to-
doesn't even know. The Doctor is only aware of one life pre-Hartnell. And the only reason the Doctor's aware of it is because she bumped into her.
Yeah, so welcome
But the
to...
show has already designed that the Doctor's regenerated numerous times before Hartnell. But at the regeneration of Hartnell, the Doctor's memory was erased, so she couldn't remember it.
On what basis?
Because they didn't want her to know she wasn't a Time Lord. They didn't want her to
Did
leave
you
them
realise
because they
retcon
needed
is
her.
something that exists in Torchwood, not Doctor Who?
They didn't want her to know that she wasn't a time. This is what I gathered from it, but they weren't very clear. They didn't want her to know she was a Time Lord because if she left permanently from them, they wouldn't be able to use her DNA code to keep being Time Lords.
So are they suggest?
Which is why they would never actually killed her for anything. Yep.
So
Welcome to
basically,
me-
they were using her to
extend their own lives. Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, no, they
Lords
weren't
just got
particularly nice
dark.
about it, but the Master totally intended to kill the Doctor as well. He was kind of pissed off about it all.
I mean, I know
Which
the Time Lords were always pretty dark, but...
Yeah, no, they were really dark in
The
this.
Time Lords have just gone from
most of the Time Lords didn't know this had happened. It was only the upper echelons who were in control of this, and they knew about it.
But hang fire, just as a historian, the Time Lords in my head have just gone from 1938 America refuses to jump in on anything that doesn't immediately affect them to full-on fucking Nazis.
Yep.
That's what they've just done.
The whole thing of them giving the Doctor more regenerations. Are you pissed off about this, Chris? The whole thing about them giving the Doctor more regenerations at the end of Matt Smith was a furphy, because he would have regenerated anyway, because the Doctor has no limit.
This is a practical joke, isn't it? You've got us, Jen. You've got us.
No, I haven't. I have not, Chris. This is actually what they did. It is fucking ridiculous.
Do you know what? I'm drinking a bottle that says serpent's venom on it, and I'm starting to wish it's real.
You're wishing I hadn't told you now, aren't you? No, I was quite enjoying Chibnall's episodes. Some of them are a bit weird and whacked out, but what's her name had grown on me as the Doctor and everything. But this is just fucked up. There is no part about it that comes out good, because even if you accept the premise, the whole concept of the Time Lords doing this, and then the Master's overreaction to it, and then the Doctor's kind of being okay with it, is just all fucked up.
Why would the Doctor be
already gone?
I don't know. It's really hard to figure out.
Wait,
I mean, I'll watch the next season because I want to know where they take it.
Or the Doctor with the genocide?
I don't know. The Doctor was not okay with the genocide. That doesn't fit the Doctor's modus operandi. So the Doctor was not okay with that. The Doctor stopped the Master from going on to his next phase of what he was planning on doing, because the Doctor basically used the dead material of the Time Lords to create a new race of Cybermen who could regenerate if they were killed.
What?
Yeah, you know how the Cybermen can now use any material to create themselves? Yeah, they retconned that recently. He basically used the Time Lords to create a set of Time Lord Cybermen that could regenerate. So the Doctor had to put a stop to that. So
basically, the showrunners have just completely lost the plot. I mean, not that they had it with Moffat.
They've completely lost their fucking minds.
I mean, Doctor Who isn't that hard. The Doctor does.
I know. How do you have to make?
They fight the Daleks. He works it out with some timey-wimey stuff and the screwdriver.
Yeah.
Or she does.
The Doctor always finds people, and off he goes.
Why do you have to have something that's the next biggest thing? That's what I don't get here. It's like, oh, I have to outdo all the season plots that have happened in the past. It's like, what the fuck? No, you don't. You just have to tell us good stories. Making it more over the top and insane does not make it a good story.
How convoluted have they made Doctor Who now? Oh.
Have you actually seen it, Jeff?
I'd say.
Am I the only one who's actually seen it?
I
wish Dave was here because he would confirm this. You missed the stream where Dave and I were talking about this, and we were going off our fucking nut about it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say wibbly wobbly hand wavium. None of that happened.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping they do that somehow, because I really don't like it. I'm like,
so what's gonna happen is in the first episode of the next one.
Badly.
No, what's gonna happen is in the first episode of the next one, the Doctor's gonna get the sonic screwdriver, press the wrong button, the door is gonna fly off its hinges, hit the Doctor in the head, and wipe memory of all of that, so it never happened.
Oh, okay. And the Doctor will regenerate again.
Yeah.
And Chris Chibnall will be fired, and we'll get somebody who's decent.
Yeah, I fixed it.
I would love it if Mark Gaius ended up being showrunner.
They just need to bring David back. That's all they need to do. Bring back David.
What they need to start doing is alternating seasons between Tennant and Eccleston.
If you had
So we
David
get one
Tennant
fun
as the
season, one
Doctor-
heavy season, one fun season, one heavy season.
I don't know. It's Tennant do some heavy.
See, I thought because I said in the chat earlier, I really thought Capaldi would have done better, but I think it was just a bit. I think he could have been a great Doctor. I just not necessarily know that the material he was given to work with was that good.
My problem
That's
is
always the way.
Yeah.
there has not been a single Doctor in the modern run that I haven't liked and thought would do well. The problem with the Doctor, and a lot of the fans are having, and I saw this on Tumblr years ago, they support the Doctor but not the showrunners. It's the fandom equivalent of supporting the soldiers but not the war.
This is
Yeah.
But this
Yeah,
is
well,
nothing new.
I don't even know if it's the showrunners entirely. Some of it's the authors that the BBC's getting now. They're a lot of the problem is the BBC itself.
Yeah, the BBC. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that one. I don't even pay a TV license. Like, I cancelled mine because I don't watch the BBC.
I think it's ridiculous you have to pay a license.
Well,
What happens if you don't pay your license?
Nothing, as long as you don't watch the BBC. But if you do, if you do watch the BBC and you don't pay your license, you can get up to like £1,000 fine, and there's like some people even get prison sentences if they can't pay it.
How the hell do they know that you've watched the BBC?
Your guess is as good as mine. Some people are probably stupid and log into iPlayer. But they will literally come and knock at your door and demand to come in and look at your TV and see if it's plugged in by aerial. It's just like mine isn't. It's a smart TV. I only stream on it.
Pissy, I was going to say something though on that point that you just made a minute or so ago. That whole thing though is nothing new within Doctor Who. If you look back to the original run, under the sort of whole Jonathan Nathan Turner era, who's sort of in charge of the show from sort of around the Peter Davison era to the end of the Sylvester McCoy era, when the show went away, when it was effectively axed. There was a lot of fans who just hated Jonathan Nathan Turner. He was just like despised by a lot of the fans. And I think
I actually liked his run, to be perfectly honest. I thought though that the writers that he had supporting him after Davidson had gone downhill significantly, I didn't like a lot of the episodes that were written for Colin Baker. There were a couple of good ones for Sylvester McCoy, but a lot of them were crap and all. Well,
I felt very sad for Colin Baker because he didn't get a fair chance. I think because he only got like the one season. So he didn't get a fair chance.
Have you listened to any of his audio adventures?
Okay, how have we gone from discussing canon to just generally?
He is brilliant. So is Sylvester McCoy in his audios as well. So it is.
Some of Sylvester McCoy's episodes were amazing. I thought. I mean, I thought he was really good.
All right, we've gone off track.
Yeah, let's get this train back on the track.
Yeah, I think we should.
But so starting with Doctor Who and talking about retcons and how convoluted things get, kind of leans into how like comic books deal with the what is and what isn't canon. Especially when you're talking about DC comics, where they'll have a bunch of stuff where everything's canon, then it gets really, really convoluted, and then they have a crisis to hit the reset button.
Well,
I do love the comic
actually
book
canon in
get-out
DC.
clause, which is if the audience doesn't like it, that happened in an alternate universe. It was an alternate universe.
Not with DC. Not with DC, everything's canon, but they have like crisis to basically bring continuity together. Same with New 52 Rebirth. Basically, what they did was they said everything you've read in the comics happened, but then the crisis storyline happened that forced the universes to merge. So those events have happened. This is just a new universe. Because otherwise you'd have a Batman who's saying...
And Marvel does similar things with their multiverse as well. So it's a comic trope.
Because you had obviously in Marvel, you've had like their Ultimate Universe, and for example. But I don't necessarily have an issue with like these multiple different universes or whatever. sometimes would prefer that more to the sort of retconning of stuff in a certain way, but I can understand from a fan's point of view as well why it can get very confusing with all these different versions, though.
Look at me. I am a Harry Potter fan. I assure you would much rather have the multiverse system you've got than you would have a writer coming out and telling you that superheroes like to shit their suits and then magic it away.
Did
Can we
actually
just
say that? Oh no, you're just making an analogy of what she says to what would happen.
Honestly, I think she did actually say that. Before toilets were invented, this is what wizards did. They just magicked it away.
She's obviously not seen one or two Deadpool jokes where he puts his costume on and then suddenly realises he needs to go to the toilet rather urgently, and realising that getting that costume off is quite difficult.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that's Deadpool.
I will correct Chris slightly, because there are stories.
His face.
Yeah, there are stories in DC and Marvel that are designated as non-canon. The Elseworlds lines in DC and the What If in Marvel. So Red Sun is an Elseworlds story, so it's not canon.
Well, actually, it is.
It's canon to its own universe.
It's in another universe. It's part of the multiverse.
Yeah. So it's not
because Red Sun Superman has appeared in the main universe as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Not Infinite Crisis. It's the one where Brainiac kidnaps cities from all the universes, and it's the one they used to bring back classic Superman into the New 52. I've probably even got the book here.
Do you know what? I'm going to sit here quietly and let you chat about comics for a bit. Wake me up when you get to Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, next week's episode is going to be Comics Central. This is more of a slight tangent.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. You already started with the tangent, so having another one won't matter.
Literally, the only comics I own are the Asterix ones. So and I've only bought those recently.
And which we've kind of talked about quite some length today already. So
yeah. But I will say that I'm not I like the films, but that's about as far as I go on the Marvel DC thing.
Convergence is there as well.
I definitely think there are comic books you'd like though, Hissy.
Probably are.
I expect you'd like Neil Gaiman's Sandman series. Really
anything by Neil Gaiman.
Pretty much.
Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Gaiman, yeah.
Gaiman. I'm aware. For me, when I was younger, with the dyslexia and stuff, I don't know if Jen had this, I found the colourful pages overwhelming and I couldn't. So I kind of got into the regular books.
Yeah, I preferred reading regular books. I didn't read comics very often. It wasn't really my thing, so... but, I mean, there were some comics I liked. My brother had heaps of them, so...
I mean, I used to read the Beano occasionally. That was about it.
I mean, my type of comics was what you were talking about earlier.
I'm going to have to reach out. I'm going to have to reach out to a certain... I am going to have to reach out at some point to a certain person I'm friends with on Facebook and see if he's willing to come on the channel. A guy called Patrick Mills, who was a writer for 2000 AD.
Oh, okay.
You should do that.
Wrote a lot of the Judge Dredd stories, and Charlie's War, I think, was his.
I just found a box of those.
So what's your absolute favourite comic, Chris? I mean, I know you did the stream with Anscar, but what is your absolute favourite?
I know you're kind of partial to DC, aren't you, Chris? But...
I'm very partial to DC, yeah. Are we talking like a standalone comic or like a series or...?
Either.
Look, my introduction to comics was the Marvel versus DC run back in the 90s, so I've always been partial to that and the Amalgam.
Amalgams, yeah.
But if I was going to pick up something to read, I'd probably pick up Court of Owls, which is the first of the New 52 Batman.
The next new Batman movie is supposed to be about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Cool.
the Patterson Batman is supposed to be doing a Court of Owls.
I'll show you
Okay.
one that I think when you were on with Ansgar, I think he bought this one up. But this is something that in the 90s I
Spawn.
really
Spawn!
got into.
Spawn!
Very
Spawn.
cool.
And
I've got Saga on my to read list.
Oh,
Cool.
On your
you know what?
recommendation, Chris.
I just found a box and I found 3 of Saga Volume 1 in it. I was so excited. And it had Court of Owls, Crisis on Infinite Earth. I'm just like, it was just like this box of stuff I think I must have put away at the shop of like, this is the good stuff to get online and forgot about it. As I'm going through all these boxes, oh man, I love it.
Man, put one of those online, I'll buy it.
No, you wouldn't with the postage.
And,
You wouldn't with the postage.
And Santi, we'll put a pin in the favorite graphic novel for next week, because next week is going to be about comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I'd definitely
That's a
like
good
to be involved with that one.
Yeah. I'm trying to get hold of Therma Rome in English.
Well, I'll save all the comic book questions for next week.
Yeah.
Please
So, the comics, but the comics approach, or especially in regards to DC, Marvel does it a little differently too. Continuity is like, let it go until it gets way too bloated, and then have a big event where you erase a bunch of stuff to streamline it.
Whereas Marvel just magically kills everyone, then they magically all just come back to life because they realize that making Captain America, Sam Wilson, Thor, Jane Foster, and Hulk Amadeus show didn't work because people want to read their actual heroes.
I think the only rule with Marvel was the only one who's not allowed to come back is Uncle Ben. I think, but I think they might have even done that now though, because it was one time it was Uncle Ben, Bucky Barnes, and Gwen Stacy. But I know they brought out Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier, and then I think they brought Gwen Stacy back for something. But
Gwen's back from another universe. It's
Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen
up there.
Yeah, and her version of Peter Parker is the one that died.
Yeah, he turned into the lizard and went evil.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting. But why do you think this is? Though? I mean, because obviously they have. When you look at this, obviously Marvel and DC, they have probably dozens of writers in and out all the time, working on these different titles. And I suppose in a way, trying to keep a continuity sometimes can be difficult when you've got all these people who want to do these different ideas. Yeah. I mean, but why do you think they need? Sometimes, why do you think they need to feel like the need to want to hit the reset on this thing and sort of stuff, and then just bring it all back into?
Because the audience does not like.
It just gets too convoluted, or.
Yeah, I think it becomes too much of a barrier for new people to enter.
Yeah.
I think this
with Marvel, they hit the reset button recently because they basically just screwed the whole thing up. They really sort of Marvel's had this issue for a long time where they rather than having quality, they go for quantity. So it's just all these different titles, like it's a new title out every 5 seconds. I think at one point they had something like 14 different X-Men titles out. So there's only so much you can do with that. But then at the same time...
No wonder they don't make any money off their comic books.
Yeah.
No, they don't. DC do. DC are still profitable.
Yeah, Marvel make money from their movies.
Yeah.
What do you think of Disney
think canon
buying
in any
DC?
fandom's overrated, Santi, so I can agree with that.
That'd be good.
See, I'm more of a fan of like Marvel's Max line, which is more geared towards adults or whatever. Well, I've got like this one, so Punisher one here, which is
Punisher Max. That's good.
Punisher Max.
Good.
That's
so
Dark Phoenix stuff.
American
here's a suggestion.
Movie night.
Hey, the horse is trying to get a word in.
Ring.
Yeah. So here's a suggestion for how we decide what exactly counts as canon. Is we get a bunch of super fans in one building and then have them hash it out, and then we'll make one book that has all the canon, and that's what will be canon for the rest of time.
You do realise that the canon will be decided by the only person still living.
Yeah,
that's a battle royal.
It's a bit like the Council of Nicaea sort of idea.
Yeah, that was the joke.
Hey, that's Tumblr. No, that is Tumblr.
Yeah.
The battle's still ongoing. It's Tumblr.
Yeah, but yeah, that was the joke. Is
Well, how long did the Council of Nicaea take? A couple of 100 years, wasn't it?
3 days.
Was it?
3 days.
3 days?
Yeah, it was a couple of 100 years after.
Yeah.
Alleged Jesus
When they
died.
they were already they were deciding for longer than just those 3 days, though, weren't they?
Oh well, there was a lot of different sects, and it came down that you had the Gnostics that had some pretty weird things, and it was basically kind of delving into like some versions of Christianity weren't recognizable to others. So they basically sat down, and because the Romans were being the Romans, and they decided on what was Christian and what wasn't Christian, and then just kind of controlled it from there.
And
most of the main tenets of Christianity nowadays were won on very tight votes.
Oh yes, the Trinity only just got in.
Yeah,
I think the Trinity got in on like 2 votes, and the divinity of Christ only got in on like 3.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah.
So it's a democratic religion.
Yeah, you were gonna say something, Scummer?
No. I was just saying it's kind of ironic that really when we're looking at this that you think that there's a tie-in with religion in a sense here, with what is canon in fandom and obviously what is canon in, say, the Bible, and how that's decided. And like even now, like Christians can't agree on what is and what is, all these different sects or whatever. Kind of think our site sort of like people who are into like either comic books or like sci-fi fandoms. Are we as bad as them in some way?
Yes.
It makes me wonder.
Possibly worse.
Well,
yeah.
The only difference is we don't think they're real.
Hey.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Excuse me, Snape wives.
Superman lives. We've got proof of him, and plus I'm Batman, so.
Batman was actually seen in England. Batman was actually seen in England a couple of years ago. I'll have you know.
Yes, he was on Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, I did make a trip across. Yeah.
That wasn't what I was referring to, Hissy. Actually, this was. Do you remember a year or 2 ago we had the killer clown prank things going round, and it got way out of control. And it's like getting in the news, all these people going out as killer clowns. So, somewhere up north, there was a guy dressed up as Batman going around chasing the clowns off. And it was fucking hilarious. What? And he actually made a video of himself, and he was doing Batman this with the kind of Christian Bale kind of thing. Hey clowns, you want to try and scare people? Try scaring me. I'm Batman.
Why you do that well, Scum?
Heck, Barbara Batman.
You don't get to ask if fandom wars are bad until you've been on Tumblr. They're antis for just everything. Mainly the Snape antis are horrendous. Fight me. Really, fight me. I've been fighting you for the last 15 years. I ain't going anywhere. Oh. And the thing is, they don't stay in their own tags. They really don't. It's like, fine, you want to stand James Potter, you go right ahead. I will happily play over here on my little corner of the internet that doesn't treat a rapist like some sort of hero. Leave me alone. But nope, can't do it. Like they're a hero, they have no conception of boundaries or consent.
Yeah.
don't know what you were talking about.
So now now that we're moving into Harry Potter, let's discuss how J.K. Rowling approaches canon, as in it's whatever I say it is at the moment.
On that note, I might bow out of this one because I'll be honest, I've never read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
No,
To be honest, I haven't either. I've watched the films. I've got to be honest. I'm not a big Harry Potter.
You've seen the films, though, haven't you, Chris?
I saw them once years ago. And to be honest, I was probably playing games on my iPad at the time, so I didn't really pay attention.
I mean, fair enough.
You're welcome to stay, though.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay. You can give us an outside point of view of some of the shit Rowling comes out with.
To be honest, if you suffer through,
I avoid her.
if you suffered through any of the Twilight films, though, Chris, Harry Potter seems like the greatest fucking thing in the world compared to that.
No. Let me assure you, the one thing I can guarantee I never ever sat through was Twilight.
My ex made me sit through a Twilight film once. She's my ex. What can I say?
Well, my current tried to. My Lissy Lou tried to make me sit through one of them once when it came out, and I think had I sat through, she'd possibly be my ex too. So it's probably lucky I rejected that advance, but it's all good.
I've read the books. The books actually aren't bad.
There's only one good reason to let your daughter read those books, and that's to teach her what not to look for in a man.
Yeah.
And that's if she's straight. Otherwise, there's just no redeeming feature.
Well, there was a great meme going round a few years ago, and it was comparing the values of Twilight to the values of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And the values of Twilight was like, like I will have like random thoughts of like murdering you, and Bella Swan go, "That's okay, you're the man." And and you have Buffy sort of saying, Angel going to Buffy, "Need any help there?" "No, I'll kick the shit out of this misogynistic prick, then we can snuggle."
Yeah.
The difference.
Yeah. No, the better one for Twilight was, here are the 15 criteria of an abusive relationship according to some American charity. And they said, if your relationship hits one of these criteria...
Chris, see you later.
Sorry, I just found out I've got a child in the room next to me, so I'm just going to go and sort her out. So I'll catch you all later, and I probably need to go to sleep too because it's silly o'clock. Have fun, and just remember, if it's in the Star Wars comics from Disney, it's canon.
Start a war before you leave, why don't you?
Bye.
And on that note.
Yeah. So this list of like 15 things, and it said on the website for this charity or whatever it was, if your relationship ticks one of these boxes, it's abusive. The relationship in Twilight ticked all 15.
Oh yeah, of course it did.
And it was horrendous. It was everything from he blanks you to he forces you to have an abortion to
Hey Randy.
Randy.
Hey Randy.
Yeah.
Less said about Twilight, the better.
Yeah.
But with the Harry Potter series, very much death of the author, very much. I do love how the entire fandom of Harry Potter, just as a collective, has just sort of gone, oh, the author used to speak. Sometimes we can still hear her voice. Sometimes we can hear her whispering.
Most of the fandom either don't like what she says about her own stories, don't like what she says about LGBTQ people, or don't like her for both.
She admitted years ago that she's never reread her own books. So at this point, most of the fandom knows her work better than she does.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at her other works outside of Harry Potter, they're absolute crap.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, she has one redeeming feature, Harry Potter. And in that, she has screwed it herself.
Okay, I have to put something on the line. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. That's not going to change. But from a quality of writing, stylistic point of view, the Harry Potter books are nothing to write home about.
Oh, no, definitely not.
No.
They're a good kid's story.
It's the story.
Yeah.
And the world. She's an excellent world builder and she's created a sandbox. But the story she told in it and the way she told it, I've read better fan fictions.
Oh, yeah, the same.
I really have.
I would
and
say
there's
you've
fan
written
fictions I
better
would take as
fan
canon
fictions
before.
too.
I'll be back in 2 secs, all right?
Yep.
Thanks, Joe.
And you know, though, Tolkien did actually have to retcon a bit of his writing, but he did it with a lot more grace than Rowling.
You mean he didn't go on Twitter and then bitch at people who called him out on it?
Well, to be fair,
Well, there
Twitter
wasn't
did
any
it.
Twitter.
Yeah. See, what he did was, so the original version of The Hobbit had Gollum just giving Bilbo the ring after Bilbo wins the riddle contest.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that doesn't make any sense when viewed in conjunction of the Lord of the Rings. So when the Hobbit was re-released after the Lord of the Rings, that scene was rewritten, and it had an introduction basically blaming the whole entire plot hole on how Bilbo told the story.
Fair. Also, you are going to have to excuse me munching away. I've not had breakfast today, so I'm just eating peanuts.
That's okay.
Fair enough.
But with Rowling, what irritates me is there's two kinds of retcon with Rowling. There's the woke points retcon, and there's the, ooh, that sounds like it could be fun retcon. Neither of which work.
Yeah.
Neither of them work. So if she does it for woke points, my thing about doing it is, it's 2020, okay? You wrote these books in the late 90s, early 2000s. If you genuinely gave a flying fuck about representation of minorities, you would have taken the risk.
Yeah.
You didn't back down over friggin' Ron and his potty mouth. You didn't back down over, Hermione being the clever one. So why the hell would you back down over a throwaway line that one of your characters is gay or that one of them is trans? You had Anthony Goldstein right there. I think she forgot who Anthony Goldstein was in those books before she came out and said he was Jewish. Because Anthony Goldstein was the annoying prat who spent most of the books bugging Harry about how much studying he was doing and had no other personality beyond being like an academic swot. That's not good representation of Jews.
No.
Yeah.
The Patil sisters were basically a pair of giggling gossips. Again, not great representation of Indian women.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had the perfect gay couple right there in Dean and Seamus, who've been best friends since they were 11 and totally just nothing.
Set them up. Yeah.
I just, all of her stuff
Yeah.
that she's come out with as woke. I'm sorry, an old man, a predatory old man who doesn't give a fuck about his people, likes knitting patterns and likes to camp it up as a joke, is not a good representation of a gay man.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she doesn't know anything about any of this shit. That's why she's a TERF and anti people who don't fit her molds, because she's ignorant.
She claims she's a classicist and she shoehorned her hero into the hero's journey and gave her anti-hero the best hero's journey I've ever seen. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, Snape is definitely the best character.
Uh-huh.
Look.
Once my dissertation's actually free to, share, once it's marked, I will, I have an entire thing where I went through and his hero's journey to the letter.
Yeah.
Whereas Harry gets it all shoved in the last 3 chapters.
And he doesn't really get a choice on his journey either.
Exactly, he doesn't get a chance to refuse.
No.
He never refuses the call.
Whereas Snape chose the journey he went on. He chose his path. So he was a true hero in that sense. I mean, I know he's an anti-hero, but I mean,
Yeah.
in a big sense, he is a hero.
Yeah.
I know he's not the one who ends up killing Voldemort, but Harry would not go anywhere near where he got to without Snape.
The thing is, what everyone misses about Snape, Snape was supposed to have the Elder Wand. Snape was supposed to finish the job.
Yeah.
Clearly. What was supposed to happen is Harry throws himself in front of Voldemort and Snape finishes the job. That's why he was supposed to get the Elder Wand.
Yeah.
That was Dumbledore's backup plan. It had to be. It's the only one that makes sense. Although that's not saying much because we all know what Dumbledore's like.
Yeah.
Dumbledore was an egotistic,
And of course,
self-serving prick.
that doesn't say much about whether or not that was actually intended as written, because we all know how Rowling is.
Rowling will
'cause
claim
she's-
it is written, but...
Yeah.
No, I don't. I honestly think she had no idea where her story was going, or even what her characters were meant to be.
She didn't have a frigging clue. There's no way the Snape in the first book is the same guy as the one in the last book. It's just not.
Oh no, I agree.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't really know much about it, but I don't think she had some sort of grand plan to get where she was going to, and she didn't have some grand plan to be like 7 or 8 books in, and like this is where we're going to get to.
Honestly, it
You
just
can tell
screams
she-
to me that halfway through Order of the Phoenix, she got bored and Googled literary tropes.
Yeah.
Did she really? Or was that just you thinking that?
I think that was
That's
just
me
Tim
thinking it, but the
speculating.
fact that you questioned it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would
all.
totally believe that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the
I mean-
problem. She claims that she's the final word on canon, but she doesn't know what canon is. See, I'll
I mean-
nicely bring it round for your husband. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Which is why a lot of the fandom now, I mean, I even did it in my dissertation. I said, no, canon is the 7 books and nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing outside it, nothing extra, no sequels, no prequels, no nada. Because once you start bringing all that in, it didn't make much sense to start with, but it makes even less sense. And at least the 7
yes,
books have a clear
And also,
timeline and narrative.
it seems to me that canon, like, as much as people try to dictate it, canon is not really something that can be dictated. Unless, of course, you kill anyone who disagrees with the canon, and, well, no one
I'm sure
expects
she
the
thought
Spanish
she
Inquisition.
could get away with it.
Yeah.
If it's not in the books, it's not of the books, and therefore it's not canon. And I'll say this about anything. I can read my fanon around it and my head canons around it, but it's not canon if it's not in the books.
Yeah.
Which
Which
is
makes it an
kind of,
awful lot more complicated if you're talking about Star Wars.
yeah.
That gets-
I was
to go
about
there.
to jump into Star. That was a very good segue into Star Wars, because how Star Wars is we had the original trilogy. Then between the original trilogy and the prequels, there was a bunch of expanded lore, a bunch of books and comics that were, officially sanctioned. And, somewhat, we had the expanded universe, which was somewhat considered canon because it was officially sanctioned. And then, we had the prequels and some more expanded universe stuff centered around that time and, before as well. Because, like, the expanded universe covers, like, thousands upon thousands of years of history.
Yeah.
For Star Wars. And then Disney came in, bought LucasArts, bought the right to Star Wars, and said, okay, only the movies and the TV shows are canon, and whatever we produce afterwards. Everything else that was made beforehand is no longer canon.
Yeah. I mean, there was also before the between the movies and the books being written, there was also a couple of like children's cartoons. I don't know if they're not considered like canon now. Like droids.
I think Clone Wars is one of them is considered canon.
But I was talking about things from the 80s like droids and Ewoks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
which were
No, they're not considered.
yeah,
Yeah.
they certainly wouldn't be considered canon. Which is obviously
I'm not exactly sure they were considered canon at the time, though.
Here's a really good ground rule. If it has to retcon itself as part of its own narrative, it's not canon.
Yeah.
I say that while coughing loudly about Cursed Child.
Yeah.
That's definitely not canon.
Yeah. But
that's fan fiction.
None of the
Dressed up as
characters
canon.
were in character.
No.
Like, even Snape wasn't in character in Cursed Child, and I liked Snape in Cursed Child because he finally got his moment. But there is no
How the hell
way,
was Snape in Cursed Child?
because they travelled in time, it was weird. Snape was working with Ron and Hermione in an underground thing, because somehow Hermione's the only Muggle-born who survived Voldemort taking over, because, you know, plot. And Albus went back in time Scorpius went back in time and met him, and he was all gooey about Albus having his name, and it's just like, no. Stop it. Also, Draco was Northern, or at least he was in the stage show I saw.
Well, every place has a door.
Well, in the films, he is just portrayed as a like typical sort of public schoolboy, isn't he? But
well, in the canon, the Malfoys are from Wiltshire. So why the hell does Draco on stage have the same accent as Richard Armitage?
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
I genuinely, I had to check the program when I went to see it. I thought the actor was Richard Armitage. That's who he sounded like. Has anyone seen the BBC Robin Hood?
Oh, no, I know, yeah. I know who he is. What else was he? The Stranger. He was in that recently, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in.
Yeah,
Spooks
he was
as
also
Lucas.
in the Hobbit movies as Thorin.
Thorin,
That's the one.
that's the guy.
Him, accent like him, and I'm just like, really? Draco's supposed to be a posh public school boy.
I know who you're on about, but I hate that interpretation of the Robin Hood thing and legend anyway. So, the old one from the 80s, Robin of Sherwood, was far better.
Oh, Robin of Sherwood was brilliant. Do you remember
if you
Black
want to talk
Arrow?
about the canon of myths and legends,
Yeah.
that we can get into.
Yeah, let's, since we are already talking about Robin
we haven't
Hood,
picked
let's
Star Wars. No, we haven't picked Star Wars. Why don't we say Star Wars Month, because we are going to pull Star Wars apart during Star Wars Month.
Yeah.
And it is such a convoluted thing to pull apart. But just needless to say, Disney's approach to it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't mind their new movies. They, apart from the second of the new ones, fucked things up grossly and made the last movie almost impossible to make decent. But aside from that, I don't mind them as movies themselves. But as part of what's supposed to be this narrative of Star Wars, I think they fall flat.
See, I like out of ones they've done. I liked a couple of the standalone movies they did. Like Rogue One, I thought was pretty good.
I liked Rogue One.
I liked Rogue One.
The Solo Origin one was okay for what it was, but
they could have had a better actor than Solo. I'm sorry, it wasn't great.
There was nothing to write home about. It was okay, but it was.
Yeah, it was okay. But there were so many more actors who look more like a young Harrison Ford and sound like him.
Yeah, I think the best thing really Disney have done really, I think, since taking over has probably been The Mandalorian, in my opinion. But
Mandalorian is brilliant. I love it.
And in terms of new books, the only thing I've really liked what Disney has done is the new canon version of Thrawn. I quite like. I do, but I just find that. I know Thrawn was, but they got the original author who wrote Thrawn for the sort of extended universe stuff from
and rewrote it into the Disney one.
He rewrote. I mean, he did some changes with Thrawn's origin story and stuff, but and how he comes into the Empire. But it wasn't it wasn't so like egregious to be like insulting or anything. But I mean, the only thing is maybe Thrawn's a little bit more of a sympathetic character in the new canon, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll definitely be interesting to sort of like talk what's canon and not canon in like in mythologies or whatever, because that could be so.
I've just finished reading the Aeneid. Don't get me started.
Mm.
What's canon and what's not, and what's fan fiction?
Yeah.
Well, I think it may be going to show that this argument is nothing new.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And it will
It's
never
not
stop.
either. It's
We
like
talked about that with
people.
the Bible earlier. It's just nothing
Okay.
new.
I want to put something out there. A lot of people
Hey, Amanda.
pissed
Hey,
on
Amanda.
fan fiction writers.
Amanda.
Excuse me, Virgil, Dante. Anyone
Yeah.
who's ever written anything based on frigging Christianity is a fan fiction writer.
Yeah.
And I just,
But then, could you not argue that a lot of the stories in the Bible were fan fiction writers because they're retelling of other old myths?
Yeah.
Hey, do you know what I learned recently that made me laugh, and I'm going to do a video on it? So in the 3rd century AD, when they were writing the New Testament, what some monks were doing, they were translating Socrates and changing it so what he was saying was put into the mouth of St. Paul.
Ooh.
Yeah, does that surprise me? Not at all.
No,
Yeah, no.
it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. It irritates me, but doesn't surprise me. Because, Christians love claiming things there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Amanda. But
You just missed the Star Wars bit, Amanda, by the way, sir.
So, I think when you're discussing, though, what canon is and isn't, first you've got to decide who owns it. The audience or the writers. And now
definitely.
that's the crux of the argument.
Yeah.
And at what point does the author lose ownership of the writing? Because we can sit and talk about copyright law or anything else.
Well, yeah.
But I'm of the opinion, the minute you publish something, you lose any right to judge anyone else's interpretation of it. And to poo-poo anyone else's interpretation of it. Because once you put it out there, it's out there. And it's like, this is, again, going back to the ancient philosophers. I do think it was Socrates, it might have been Xenophon, don't quote me, it's one or the other, who didn't like writing stuff down. Because don't forget, back then it was literally carved into stone. Because he said the writer's not there to defend his work, basically. And like to do it all by conversation. So yeah, that sounds more like Socrates.
That sounds like Socrates, because of everything we know about him is really from mainly Plato.
It's Plato and Xenophon, isn't it?
Was it Xenophon or was it Democritus? I can't remember, but
it's Xenophon who wrote Socrates, because Arian wrote Epictetus. Epicurus.
Epicurus, yeah.
Epictetus. The two opposite philosophies, and I still get them mixed up.
I only know Epicurus. The only thing I really know Epicurus is that famous quote of his about God, to be honest, which is often re-quoted by atheists,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the problem of evil.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yeah,
That's
we're not.
Don't quote a philosopher blindly. Make sure you know who you're quoting and what they are.
That's the only thing I know about. So that's
Yeah, so it's Epictetus who was the Stoic then.
Yeah.
Irritates me. Like, make sure you know the context of what you're talking about.
Though,
Yeah.
and that kind of does bring us back to when the person who holds the rights to a property, or when the entity that holds the rights to a property starts making canon decisions, is where we start getting these interesting hiccups.
Yeah.
No, when we start getting hiccups is when Tumblr starts shipping. I was on the front lines of the 2005 Supernatural ship war. Don't get me started. And the 2008 Supernatural ship war. I lost a blog to that. My blog went down in flames.
But I think this goes to say something. I mean, obviously, if you are an intellectual property owner, I suppose technically speaking, I guess if you own that IP, like say if you're Disney owned stores, technically you can say, I suppose, from a legalistic point of view, you can say what is and what isn't canon. But like it comes with all kinds of like art or whatever. And it was saying about people will interpret different pieces of art differently and what it's about.
Do you know what? I don't care whether you painted the Mona Lisa, whether you wrote the frigging Inferno, or who you think you are, what kind of genius you think you are. Who the fuck are you to tell me what's going on in my head and how I'm interpreting something?
Well, I think that's not being dictated. What's being dictated is, your opinion doesn't count because this is what actually counts.
Yeah, I can't do with that. Nah, everyone's opinion counts. The fandom is well big enough for everyone. Just stay in your own corners, stick to your own tags, and for God, get a life if you're an auntie. Just get a life. If your entire fandom identity is based around hating a particular character, you're the one in the wrong.
Oh, good Lord. But if you, I mean, this is the thing with certain fandoms as well. If you are that, and we've seen this shit, you've actually seen this with like actual fiction, with say TV shows, with this carried into real life. I mean, you heard probably about some of the threats and the death threats that the actress Anna Gunn got. You ever heard about that?
No.
Okay, well, she plays a character called Skylar White in the series Breaking Bad.
Okay.
And her character is set up to be a bit dislikable, and I think, in a way, she may have done such a good job at the role she was portraying that she was getting like all kinds of death threats and that from people, and death threats and rape threats from people. Not because they hated the fucking character. They hated.
Alan Rickman used to joke that used to scare kids who were visiting the set. And Jason Isaacs did the same. But that was kids. But do you know why women don't last on Supernatural? Because the minute you put a woman on screen with Jensen Ackles or Jared Padalecki, the fangirls go into overdrive and start sending them death threats. Like when Jared Padalecki first married his wife, who played Ruby, she was getting all kinds of death threats and hates. Same with Danielle Ackles. Because the fandom doesn't understand that there are lines you don't cross. Because they're all 13-year-old girls with no fucking common sense.
And I think the person who played I'm not talking Hayden Christensen, but the person who played the kid Anakin was actually driven to suicide.
No, he didn't. I don't know that he killed himself, but he certainly did not pursue acting as a career.
Yeah, and didn't Will Wheaton say he got a hell of a lot of stick as well?
Oh yeah,
he got a lot of shit for Wesley Crusher. I know that. He got a lot of shit from Star Trek fans over.
Undeserved, because he didn't write the character. He only acted it.
And again, the character was designed to be slightly annoying.
Yeah.
What it means is, Will Wheaton was doing his job fucking brilliantly in a way that if he created that kind of emotion, because the character was designed that way, Will Wheaton did his job fantastically. And obviously, you see now the way, obviously, Will Wheaton, when he's been within, like, say, The Big Bang Theory, how he's had a laugh at his own. He's had he's obviously good enough to be very self-deprecating about his own sort of time on those things.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as well, I mean, Tom Felton got it when he was younger as well. Emma Watson got it because everyone assumed she was a SWAT. Again, it's not going to be Harry Potter references with me. Yeah. And I just... Actors are actors. That doesn't give you the right to judge them on their character.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if, for example, Alan Rickman really was a terrorist who took over a shopping centre? I mean, come on, people, grow up.
Yeah.
But this reminds me of some of the
That'd
stories.
make you die hard. That would.
This is like reminds me of some of the stories I heard. Like back in like the 60s and 70s, and even into the 1980s in America, with like
Of course, America.
professional wrestling, which everybody knows what the fucking deal with that is, right?
Yeah.
Literally, everybody knows. But some of the bad guy villains were so damn good at what they did, they could incite people to fucking riots, and would have to like, they literally would have to sneak out the building by the back door or whatever. Some of the bad guys had to, because they just incited that crowd to the point, because they were supposed to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
If they won, suddenly you had a riot on your hands.
Yeah, and it was like, so.
Which means they, in a sense, because they did their job probably a little bit too well, if they could incite people to that kind of.
I am gonna go there though. Women get it a lot worse than men do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unlikable women on screen is the cardinal sin.
Well, that's what I said about Anna Gunn. I don't think, like, even say people who sent shit to say someone like Hayden Christensen, I don't think he was getting rape threats the way Anna Gunn was.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised.
Yeah. I would have been too. Although, I mean, he did look a bit like a twink. He might have got a few.
But I mean, on the wrestling thing, I genuinely, some guy who was convinced wrestling was real, like, we were at university together. We were at university.
Yeah.
We were both drinking. We were sat in the common room drinking, watching it, and I said to him, that punch didn't land. He literally went to the repeat an hour later, and I slowed it down and showed him. And do you know how the guy responded? He pushed me up against the wall and threatened to do things that I'm not going to repeat.
Yeah.
And I had to, like, sprain his wrist to get away from him.
For my sins, I don't like it so much these days, but I do just loved professional wrestling. I even used to do it a little bit. I was never any fucking good at it. But I'll say this about it. Yes, it is staged, but don't think they do not get fucking beat to fuck.
Yeah, no, they did. I remember watching fights.
No, they still get hurt. It's still very physical. They still have to be very physically fit to do it.
I remember back when it was WWF and it was The Undertaker and TJ Hooker and who was the one who dressed like a child?
Well, yeah, I took a stage combat, a bit of stage combat in drama, and yeah, that's a workout.
You took stage combat. It
was included in drama. Yes.
My fluffy walking disaster took stage combat and didn't die.
Yeah.
Fluffy walking disaster.
The dude tried to get something off a shelf and destroyed my cooker.
Oh my god.
I'll just say I got beaten up a lot worse doing the so-called fake sport than I did playing rugby for a number of years, which is
because it was a good excuse in the fake sport to give someone a bullet.
Damn good fucking hiding, yeah. But the thing was that it was more prevalent back in the 70s that some of the bad guys could get people so riled up to the point where it was, you got that sort of real threats. I suddenly feel we got way off topic here, actually. But
we're not talking canon anymore. We're talking personal threats on people.
No, but it comes back to canon, doesn't it? Because people get so het up about what canon is, they lose sight that it's fiction. And this irritates me as well. Like people who argue with those who've got different headcanons or with fanon.
Yeah.
Again, it's the same as with antis. If your imagination is so stunted that you can watch something, read something, engage with something, and not even consider once what if, that's your problem. Don't go forcing that on other people. There are people on the internet who will say canon or die. you know, canon or die kind of thing.
You
It's
didn't
like,
even do it
no.
in voice.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, see, the big disastrous flood really happened, and it was really to kill the Nephilim.
To kill the Nephilim, that's a new one on me. You sure that's not a headcanon?
I've heard that one before.
Yeah. There were Nephilim before the flood.
Yep.
I mean, let's be honest, religious schisms are just arguments over canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just flame wars, that's all they are.
Effectively, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it, Paul made a living out of his headcanon.
Yep.
A lot of people did.
Very
So-
definitely headcanon.
So since we're talking about canons, we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this. I'm going to ask you guys what your weirdest headcanons are. And I'll go first, and I know that like this is, I know that this is no way intended at all. But it's kind of my headcanon that when the elves left for the Grey Havens, they actually left the planet and became Vulcans.
I like that. So the Vulcans are the elves from
Lord of the
Middle Earth.
Rings.
That would
Yep.
explain so much.
But Vulcans don't live as long as elves. I mean, they live a bloody long time, but they're not immortal. I'm messing with your headcanon, sorry.
Okay.
It could easily be explained by the higher levels of radiation on planet Vulcan.
Stay out of my headcanon!
It is my head canon that the largest stone circle in Britain, Neolithic stone circle, Avebury, it is my head canon that was the world's first cricket pitch. The stones represent the boundary, and there's a couple of stones in the middle that represent the wickets.
I have way too many weird headcanons. Jen, you next. While I pick
I'm trying to think what I've got that isn't part of how it is. Well, my current headcanon is the last 2 episodes of Doctor Who never happened.
Yeah, but that's not weird.
That's
You
good.
said weirdest.
No, that's not weird. You
Yeah.
said weird.
I mean, there's
Okay.
so many good ones. I mean, like Cesare Borgia and Micheletto. Definitely.
Or
Most of my headcanons are ships, to be fair.
yeah,
Really?
here's another one that kind of ties in with Scummer's previous stream that just ended before this one.
I just said ships, and then you just
please.
said that, and my brain just did something
No,
with that.
it's not a ship. It's not a ship.
God.
Okay, the
My
the super
headcanon is
soldier-
that Buffy did actually get together properly with Spike. Because Spike was gorgeous.
the super
He was better
soldier
than Angel in my headcanon.
the super soldier serum is a rediscovered formula of the magic potion.
Ooh.
Oh, I love it.
Actually,
That
it
makes sense.
improved as well, because I believe the super serum lasts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you're saying that that Captain America is basically a better Obelix.
Or yeah.
Captain America fell into the pot when he was a baby, and he's got a permanent.
I love that.
No, I think
I was going to say,
mine-
I don't think we're going to top that one.
Yeah.
Especially given the follow-on from your previous stream. That's brilliant.
That's fucking brilliant.
I don't know. I have a few weird ones. One of my so in Harry Potter, there's a potion you can take. So first of all, it's my headcanon that Snape is Northern. It's my headcanon that he's a Halifax boy.
Okay.
Think about it. He's either Halifax or Saltaire. It alternates. He comes from a mill town.
Yeah.
His old man worked the mill. It's all these little terrace houses. It's northern. It's well northern. Yeah.
So you got to
But
think then, does
there's a
JK
portion
ever
in the
actually
Harry
leave
Potter
her home?
series.
Does she even know what her own country is like?
No, she seems to think that there's a mill and terraced houses in North London. This is where she thinks the Snapes are from. So has she read her own book and what it's based on?
Well,
What about when we're adding up ages?
Well, I'll just say, obviously, I
That
know
was freaking mental.
I know where I do know where she's got some of her names for her characters from because I've walked around Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh.
Yeah, she loves her prolific names though.
Well, there's a Tom
She
Riddle.
loves them.
It's a Tom Riddle buried there. So
Yeah.
Well, see, by adding up ages, you can get the age of the Earth.
By adding up the ages in Harry Potter, you can find out that J.K. Rowling couldn't do math.
I was so confused. I messaged Jen to try and work out Snape's timeline, and it took us nearly an hour.
Yeah, well,
To put it into any
we were
kind of
both
order.
looking at what other people had said about it and everything. It was like, it doesn't make any sense because the ages don't add up. To become a teacher and be the age he was supposedly meant to have been, he had to have started teaching when he turned about 20.
Yeah, but he was on trial when he was 21 for being a Death
But he
Eater.
was 21, so how the hell did he be a teacher? It doesn't make any sense.
It's stupidness. Total stupidness.
I think the problem is she basically she started out with Snape set at a certain age and then retconned to put Snape at school with
Yeah.
with Harry's parents. So
I'm pretty sure by
fucked it
Prisoner
up.
of Azkaban she decided Snape went to school with Harry's parents.
Yeah, but she'd already mentioned how old he was, so she'd fucked it up.
Yeah,
So,
because then they had to be the same age as him.
Yeah, but for it to actually work, he needs to be about 3 or 4 years older than they are.
Which he needs to be the same age as Lucius. Because he's
Yes.
Lucius's friend.
Yeah, and that would actually make sense that they were peers.
And it's just weird that Lucius would randomly put his arm around a random first-year half-blood at the sorting feast. That's just
Yeah,
weird.
no,
Why
it
would
doesn't
Lucius
make
do
any
that?
sense.
you know, I can't. I sort of wasn't paying attention. I just hoping actually that Hissy will do some fan fiction based on what Unring said about Captain America picking fucking Asterix suspension potion. I've got that going through my head now. It's
I tell you what we'll do.
Although, now
we'll
that
give
you've actually
Captain
said
America a French accent.
Rather than doing Captain America, wouldn't it be better for you to come up with a brand new French superhero based on that?
No, you can't come up with a French superhero. We'd lose everything.
Oh, well, not French. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be French, does it?
We can make him Italian and say the Romans eventually managed to steal the potion.
Yeah. Or I mean, gold crossed boundaries anyway. It wasn't all in France, was it? So.
Well, also,
France, bits of Spain.
Are they?
also,
Yeah, well, it could be a Spanish hero.
Actually, Dr. Erskine, the the inventor of the super soldier serum, was an expat who was fleeing Nazi rule.
Yeah, okay.
See, to
Okay.
me, Erskine
Who could
just
be a
makes me...
descendant of Getafix? We don't know. We don't know.
But you could, I mean, on the side of that, whoever found, say, a hidden thing of this the potion or whatever it was, doesn't have to be from France or anywhere like that. They could have just been a archaeologist who was in the area looking for stuff, and they came across this.
I want Mary Beard to find the magic potion. I want Mary Beard to find it. And then I want her to share it with Bethany Hughes.
And then they can, and then,
I
and
love
then,
your head cannon, Hissy.
and then the first thing they can go and do is knock David Starkey the fuck out.
Yeah. Knock his head together with Tony Robinson.
So is your Prime Minister going to survive?
Well, he's out of ICU,
Yeah, he's out
isn't
of-
he? He
yeah, he's
miraculously
away. He is.
died on the Friday and rose on Sunday. Miracle, that. That wasn't planned at all. That wasn't some sort of weird, random Christian trying to claim he's the second coming bullshit at all. From our, Uber Aryan who just
Who just happens to be?
don't.
You just
Don't.
You just need to have a good old fashioned game of whiff waff there, Hissy.
There are doctors and nurses dying because,
Yeah.
and that.
Yeah, no, he's a prick.
Well,
And
actually,
you are worse off actually, because I mean, as bad as your Prime Minister is, your deputized Prime Minister at the moment
Is even worse.
is worse. He's an absolute prick.
The thing is, the Prime Minister pretended to be sick, allegedly. Pretended to be sick so he could have a weekend off of doing nothing.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Because he wasn't doing anything to start with.
My head canon is that Jeremy won the election by a landslide, but it is pure
my
head canon.
yeah.
But actually, Hissy, are you taking part in the clap tonight for Preeti Patel?
No.
It's taking past at 73 minutes past 11:20. Okay.
73 minutes past 11:20, right.
20.
Yeah, there's a clap for Preeti for
You
that.
know, if
Yeah.
Diane Abbott had made that fuck up,
Oh fuck yeah, exactly.
we'd have been reading about it in 15 years' time in a satire journal.
hmm
I don't particularly like Diane Abbott, but that double standard just...
Oh yeah.
We are in the darkest timeline.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
What happened is, right, I think the world ended the night Gordon Brown retired. This is my headcanon.
This
The
is hell,
Mayans were
then.
right. 2008, the Mayans were right.
Okay, so what is actually what we think is still living now is actually hell.
Have you got a better explanation?
Donald Trump's the president of the the fucking president of the United States. It's about as close to hell as you're gonna get.
Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is the President.
And we have an evangelical Christian as our Prime Minister.
Yeah. And there's
3
a
for 3,
pandemic.
hey.
This is pretty much... Yeah.
And there's a pandemic on. Yay! Let's write a disaster movie.
Have you noticed that of those 4 things, the pandemic is the least problematic of those things?
But when we're out,
Oh, except for the fact, well, no, our government's actually responding pretty well. We're actually doing fairly well with the pandemic compared to some countries.
Holy
But,
shit, can I come live in your country?
when we come out,
We are actually the second best country in the world after Korea in dealing with it.
do you want to? I thought
But we do have the advantage of fuck all population on a really big
We're
country.
the second worst after
I
America.
thought New Zealand was doing better than you.
Are they?
No, that's the rugby.
No. New Zealand actually have a higher infection rate. We're actually closer to pulling under the line where infections are they have to get them down to each person only infects 1.2 people, and then you've basically got it under control. And we are getting closer to that line in Australia.
To keep it somewhat on the topic, Reggie, when we're on the topic of the stream, when we come out of this, I guarantee you what will become canon in UK is that Boris Johnson was a fucking hero throughout this and this thing. And
he survived Corona.
He survived Corona, and the government handled this so brilliantly, and all the fuck ups they've made. This will, you know.
Do you know what? Instead of showing me a graph of how many people and
official canon
social
when we are at the end of this.
Instead of showing me a graph about how many people aren't social distancing and aren't isolating and how that relates to the death rate, show me the graph that relates the provision of PPE to hospitals and the death rate. Show me the graph that relates how slow the government is to respond to anything and the death rate. Show me a graph, any graph that shows how many people are dying who are not in hospitals right now.
Yeah.
Our government has decided that its reputation is more important to it than the lives of citizens.
I think we've gone well off topic now, but I don't disagree with you.
As
Hissy,
we do.
Hashtag hissy fitting, yes.
Wait, you are doing the hissy fit.
Yeah. And hey, this
I'm
is
sorry, I took it to politics. I apologize.
Somewhat on topic that I know what the official canon will be coming out of this about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Donald Trump's going to be worse than what you guys have there, though.
Donald
Trump's going to pretend he's a savior. Well, no. Sorry?
Donald Trump's going to claim Donald Trump's going to claim himself the second coming of Christ before long.
I led a coalition of Christian wizards, and we banished Corona.
No,
he won't claim. No, Trump's ego's too big for that. He'll say that Christ was the first coming of him.
The first coming in him.
No,
Twink
Jesus. Twink Jesus.
Twink Jesus.
Hold on. I've got a banner for that.
It's man just still in the screen here. It's man just still in the chat here.
Sexy Twink Jesus. Oh yeah, that's my weirdest headcanon. Sexy Twink Jesus.
Sexy Twink Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus and Judas and sexy Twink Jesus with the 12 apostles.
Yeah.
Although I must admit, my headcanon for the Bible has become our D&D session.
Absolutely, yes.
You guys are actually going to have to show me how to play D&D one day, I think. But
Does that include?
I've never
does
played
that
it.
include the Christmas episode where Elijah kidnaps Jesus and sets fire to the manger?
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
If you want to get into doing it, Jeff, why don't you join our Star Wars month game we're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a go. I mean, I've never done anything like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that. I used to play like historical wargaming a few years ago, but that's a bit different. So
yeah.
The one-offs are a bit easier to learn on because just the way we play them isn't as complicated as when you're running a long campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, with the entire argument over what's canon and what's not is quite literally the sandal scene from Life of Brian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He hurt my foot. He hurt my foot too.
No, the gourd.
No. We all have to worship the sandal.
Yeah. No, we must cast our sandals away.
We should all take off one sandal.
Oh, my juniper berry bush.
This is how we can end. It's how we can end anything. Is the Life of Brian basically is the answer to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are two places you can find three places you can find the answer to the life, the universe, and everything. The Life of Brian, The Godfather, and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Though, the whole Judas was in on it thing that I put in the Easter game, that is essentially my headcanon. I mean, the whole vampire thing was, just for a good encounter.
Well,
but yeah.
Especially as we ruined the other one.
I have one.
Isn't there a Gnostic Gospel of Judas that actually sort of says that? But
yeah.
I have a headcanon. Archduke Franz Ferdinand's driver was not a dick who couldn't read a map. Because the odds on that.
If you to familiarise yourself, the comedian Rob Newman, he makes a very good argument around the start of the First World War. He says, "Come on, assassination of Franz Ferdinand caused a war. No one is that popular."
I don't know, man. If someone went for Keith Richards,
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it was more the the complex web of alliances.
Yeah.
Basically, they were all cousins having an argument over Christmas dinner, and it got out of hand.
Oh yeah. And so for that,
Which is how you can sum up about 98% of history.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
for
pretty
that
much
quarter
every
of Europe's
European
population
war
has
ever.
to die.
I do think with the First World War, the old Berlin-Baghdad railway line became a bit of a argument between Britain and Germany anyway. But
Yeah.
we couldn't. Well, unfortunately, we couldn't. When the Germans obviously trying to get a rail link to oil colonies, over, but I think Britain couldn't actually compete with Germany in engineering terms alone because. Unfortunately, no one was going to accept the Sarajevo to Basra replacement bus service. I think you got to be British to get that one. But
That's brilliant. I'm stealing that.
So,
well, I stole that from Rob
let's
Newman.
go ahead
just
and
to
start
be-
wrapping up.
What have we established? Cannon destroys my ships.
Yeah.
I do love how we've managed to do
No, we
the
all
entire
have our
stream
own
and not
head
get to a ship
canon,
yet.
and we don't really give a fuck what the official canon is.
Okay. We've established that Captain America is basically got strong off of Get a Fix's magic potion from Asterix. Avebury was a cricket pitch, and what else have we established?
Oh, I'll tell you a really funny one. Okay. People
Yeah.
have this headcanon, and I've never seen any compelling evidence for it. One, they think, like, I'm sorry, I don't think there's compelling evidence that that place is Troy. That's one. Because I'm not entirely convinced Troy was a, full-on real place. Two, the Colosseum, apparently, they would flood it and stage mock naval battles.
So
Yeah, I've heard that, but I honestly don't see how that was possible.
That it's not. There is no archaeological or historical evidence for it.
Yeah, I mean, and the Colosseum's not built that way. I mean, it would have had to have been sealed to hold the water, and it wasn't.
And the thing is, the Colosseum was a wooden floor above tunnels underneath where the slaves and the animals were kept. You would have drowned them all every time you tried.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's not possible.
I think what we established is the only way to really dictate what canon is involves killing a bunch of people and torturing the rest.
Pretty much.
Can we put J.K. Rowling on that list? Ooh, she went there. She went there.
I mean, is that what the Battle of Hogwarts was?
Yeah. So, Scummer, go ahead and shill yourself.
Jeff, aka God the Scummer, got myself a little channel. Had the wonderful Hissy on just earlier today where we were going through Asterix the Gauls. So please come and check that video out.
Yep.
Cool.
And we'll go ahead and go counterclockwise to Jen.
Yep. I'm Jen for Jen's Little Corner. You guys all know me anyway. But if anyone's watching this in the future, I make sciencey, LGBT videos. Well, two different things there, but I ran the words together because it's late. And I do debunking of pseudoscience and stuff like that as well. So if that's your thing, go and have a look. Yeah, I did a stream earlier today where we basically taught bullshit for about 2 hours and then debunked a flat Earth video. Which that debunking part I'm going to cut out and post as its own video later on because it's probably the most interesting part of the entire stream. Unfortunately, streams can get like that.
Yeah. Evidence.
No. In all, I mean, the stream was interesting for those of us in it, but I don't know that it was particularly interesting for the people watching it. But yeah.
So yeah, I'm Hissy's Hideaway. Only just recently started a channel. Haven't really picked it up off the ground yet. There's a couple of videos over there, more coming. I do. I'm hoping to make it a series of discussing Asterisk comics with Scummer. We play D&D over on the Daily Atheist show with Ringers the GM on Saturdays. I'm speaking to Ilya Moon with the Uncalled For tonight in about
You're going to have so much fun.
So that should be fun.
That's on the I network tonight, so just people know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Be aware she will throw shit at you that you are going to be upset about.
Oh, good. I get to fit. I get to have a hissy fit.
Oh, you get to have hissy fits because mostly you end up watching videos from incels.
Basically, generally, it's
that right now. I know to make sure
yeah.
I've got cigarettes and
incels,
alcohol.
MGTOWs, and just other misogynist.
Yeah, right, royal fuck knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And Ilya and Amy are absolutely awesome. So you'll enjoy it.
Glober Mom sounds as well, and I know her.
Oh yeah, forgot about Glober Mom. How could I forget about Glober Mom?
So I'm doing that. I'm a historian, classicist, Snape fan. I do all kinds of stuff, or I'm planning to. When I eventually get around to it. And as you can tell from this stream, I'm political. I'm loud, and I have strong opinions.
Aren't we all?
The best way to be.
It is. I totally agree.
And every Sunday, we have media musings. Jen's my co-host. We'll have guests on when they
usually
when they
Hissy's on if she's not working.
Yeah. Yeah, Hissy always has an open invitation as usual.
He's
only saying that because I told him off yesterday.
Yeah.
I should just add you to the credits, Hissy.
Yeah. Next week we're discussing comics, for an early free comic book day sort of thing, and then next
whatever they are,
and then next month is Star Wars month, and also I'm probably not gonna have an edited video out next or this Tuesday, but I'm looking to get the edited videos up and running again the Tuesday after next, or the
following Tuesday.
Yeah.
And coming soon, me and Hissy are going to be looking over the Story Keepers
and debunking thoroughly.
Yeah,
I have strong opinions about the Story Keepers.
Yeah.
Nice.
First episode will be on my channel. Second will be on Hissy's, and we'll swap back and forth until we run out.
I think there's 13
I think you have to find
episodes
something
in
else.
total.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be attacking it from like a this is Christian propaganda media-ish angle, and Hissy will be dealing with
I will be attacking it from a this is a historical bullshit angle.
Yeah.
Cool.
Current plan is Saturday mornings before the D&D game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're going to be so busy.
Yes.
Tell me about my weekends are so busy right now. I'm on so many streams. I don't have time to make my own videos.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
complaining.
my problem.
Well, I do think next time we do an asterisk stream, we should do it on yours or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, so taglines, Scummer.
Not much of a tagline. Just see you all later, or salute, goodbye. So
Hissy.
Take care, be good, and if you can't be good, be careful.
And remember, don't choke on the indoctrination.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.